Hello and welcome back to Helldivers, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest patch that just barely dropped. I have been trying it out today, so let's talk about each of these ones. Mostly this is a balance update patch, which is pretty cool. Where very first up, we have armors actually giving us reduced headshot damage, so long as they have more than 100 armor. So this will be most of the medium armors, actually it might be all the medium armors, and the heavy armors that will give you a headshot reduction damage, which is pretty cool. It was kind of annoying before when you took the same amount of headshot damage from all sources, regardless of if you were wearing light to heavy armor. So if you got hit in the face with a rocket, even if you're wearing like a big old juggernaut suit, you're still gonna die. You could argue maybe that's a little bit more realistic, but I don't think Helldivers is going for realism. They're definitely just going for the fun factor of it. And that wasn't always fun to have that, especially since heavy armor could slow you down, whereas light armor, you could just keep sprinting away from enemies and potentially get away. So a buff for medium and heavy armor, really cool to see. There will probably be more of a reason to take any of those now, since medium armor kind of has the most variety to it. Light armor is still good for running around areas, and then heavy armor will be the tank armor. So I think that's cool that they're more distinct now. I did fill this a little bit when I was playing. I mostly just played against the Terminants today, but even the Hunters, which usually jump down and smack you directly in the head, didn't seem to be doing as much damage when I had my heavy armor on, so that is nice to see. There's also some other minor changes like victory poses only going to the people who extracted on the mission, and there's also a reduction in burning damage, which this is pretty cool. I'm assuming the burning damage is all the damage over time effects from the fire, and I imagine this works on both you and the enemies. So it will make it so damage over time is not going to be as good for you, but it's also not going to hurt you as much, which can be really nice, because there are times when you get ragdolled and then you're also technically lit on fire, and if you had a couple more seconds to hop up and like flop, you would save yourself, but sadly that hasn't happened in a little while ever since they buffed fire. So fire's still going to be quite strong, but this should make it so you're not going to be burning as much. There's still, as far as I know, the bug that goes on where the damage over time effect only applies for the host or only partially applies to the host. It seems to be working just fine for people on console. I'm not sure if it's just a PC thing that's not working. I'm not entirely sure because I usually host my own games, so the fire and the damage over time seems to be fine for me, but I am being the host there. I've heard conflicting arguments on both of that, so hopefully that gets fixed sometimes in the future if it's not fixed already. Then we have a ton of changes for the primary weapons, the secondary weapons, and the support weapons. So first up, the crossbow is getting nerfed, kind of. I don't know why the crossbow is getting nerfed. So this has slightly smaller explosion radius, increased stagger, decrease its total magazines from 12 to 8. That's a pretty big hit to the crossbow. Although instead of just getting half the amount of ammo that you did before, whenever you get a resupply, you get the full 8 magazines for this, which is good. I don't know why the crossbow was like that before. They slightly reduced the ergonomics, so it takes a little bit longer to swing. I don't think the crossbow needed that either. And it increased its muzzle velocity. Muzzle velocity change, it does feel pretty nice with the crossbow now. Before it felt a little bit slow. It's still not going to be a fantastic weapon in my opinion because it's an explosive AoE weapon that's only really good against small hordes of enemies. It's not that great against big enemies, or at least medium enemies. It can one-shot headshot the bots, and it can one-shot at least the warriors on the bug missions, but everything else you're going to have to hit multiple times. It can't close bug tunnels. It's a weapon that was already pretty awkward before, and I don't know why it needed to be nerfed. If anything, the crossbow needed more of a buff. The stagger seemed to be kind of nice when I tried it too, but I'm not sure exactly how much stagger this actually is. It did seem to be helping against the bots when I was trying it, so that's kind of nice. Crossbow's still going to be an awkward spot, and I just don't think that it's worth taking over some of the other ones. Next up is the Quasar Cannon. This one got a nerf as well, so now the recharge time is another 5 seconds, so it's 15 seconds in total rather than the 10 seconds. So longer charge in between shots. Quasar Cannon was already ridiculous before. I don't think this is going to change it that much. It will make it feel a little bit more sluggish. It will make it feel a little bit slower. But still, if you want to combine Quasar Cannon with the EATs, it's going to be really strong regardless. You can call those down. I didn't really use this one. I imagine it's still extremely strong, just like it was before. It also has the advantage of once you shoot it, you just put it away and then go back to your primary or secondary. It's not even like the recoilless rifle where you have to pull it down and then reload it afterwards. So it's still going to be probably like a top tier pick for a heavy killing weapon. Up next is the Adjudicator. The Adjudicator is now set to an assault rifle, which people already said it might as well be set to an assault rifle since that's the playstyle that most people were using with it, myself included. Reduced recoil, which does feel pretty nice on it. The reduced recoil actually feels really nice in the Adjudicator now. It's already set to full auto by default, so it can still swap between full auto and semi-auto depending on what you want. It has more total mags, so instead of just holding 6, now it holds 8. That gives it another 50 rounds, which is really strong. They also just increase the magazine recovery whenever you do pick up a resupply to make up for the difference in the total magazines. And yeah, the Adjudicator was already pretty strong before. I know a lot of people were complaining about it, but I thought it was already one of the best in-slot assault rifles, probably the best or second best, just behind this Sickle, which the Sickle also got changed in this one, so the Adjudicator might be the best assault rifle right now. It is quite strong. It also has the medium armor pen on it, and I don't really see a point in taking like the Liberator Penetrator anymore, unless you just want more total magazines and a better scope, arguably, or a longer range scope. Depends on what you like there. But this weapon is just so much stronger, has more DPS than it now actually has magazines, so you'll still get probably all of your magazines back by the time you need a resupply. I don't see a reason to take the Liberator Penetrator over the Adjudicator. I think it's quite strong now. Laser Cannon also got buffed slightly to where now it has increased damage, but it also has slightly reduced damage towards large enemies. Laser Cannon was already quite strong. It was a really good general purpose weapon, so I don't think this is going to change it that much. It's going to be better for killing the small and medium bugs and bots a little bit quicker. It's still going to be a pretty decent primary weapon if you want to take more of the specialized primary weapons, like if you want to take the Eruptor or the crossbow or something. Laser Cannon is a really good special weapon to be using as a general purpose weapon, just to be killing off everything. So it's cool that the Laser Cannon got buffed. I don't think it needed it, but it is cool that it did get buffed. Then the Punisher Plasma got buffed, and it also got changed in weapon category. So now this is considered an energy weapon, which is probably for the best since it was classified as a shotgun. And it's not really a shotgun, it's more like a grenade launcher. This one got nerfed by the total amount of magazines that it has, so it went from 12 to 8. I don't think that'll really matter because usually I wasn't running through ammo very quickly with the Punisher anyway. Resupplies give you all of your mags back now rather than just the half of them, so that's pretty good. They also increase projectile speed. That's pretty nice. It'll make it so the shots actually get to the targets a little bit faster, and it also decreases damage drop off from the explosion. Overall, I don't know why the Plasma Punisher got nerfed because I never see that gun. It's pretty good on bot missions, and I imagine it will still be pretty strong on bot missions. On bug missions, it was already kind of iffy. It could do well against crowds, but other times it did almost nothing, and it was really awkward when things got right up next to you. You just couldn't use it. So it'll have, I guess, the same place in bot missions and an even worse place in bug missions now. The Arc Blitzer actually got buffed, so the electric shotgun. And this one I did try out. This one was probably my least favorite shotgun in the game. I don't know if it's my least favorite anymore. It's technically not a shotgun anymore though too, so now it's an energy weapon, which makes more sense. And this one has an increased rate of fire, so now it no longer has 30 rate of fire, it has 45, which that does actually feel quite a bit better. This feels like a more sluggish pump shotgun than something like the Punisher does. It did feel decent on bug missions. It's still probably going to be pretty bad on bot missions because of the limited range. It is always going to have unlimited ammo, which is pretty nice for it, and it does do decent damage. It's just, I find this one to be super awkward to use on bot missions. Usually you get shot to death before you get close enough to use it, or you're just shooting little guys, in which case any of the shotguns will clear them up. It can be decent if you can get to the bots that aren't shooting you and stagger them with the arc shotgun. But like I said, this is probably going to be more for bug missions, and it did feel a bit better on the bug missions, so that's kind of cool. Eruptor also got nerfed. I don't know why, but it did. So Eruptor got its total magazines cut in half. It now only holds 6 mags rather than 12, which I don't know why it held 12 anyway before this, but okay. And it also made it so its explosion damage drops off slightly faster. That probably won't matter. Generally, you're going to be using this in a run and gun playstyle where you're going to run to a position, stop, shoot this into a crowd, or shoot this into a particular target, then start running while your person is cycling the bolt. And it's still going to make it so you're going to want to take a different secondary, or a secondary that's more good at close range, something like the Redeemer or the pistol. I don't know if the Eruptor really needed a nerf. I thought it was fine before because it was already kind of an awkward gun that was only really good if you had somebody that was used to that playstyle and you weren't getting swarmed, because the Eruptor's pretty terrible if you are getting swarmed by enemies. You don't really want this over some other weapons, so okay, slight nerf to that one. The Sickle also got nerfed for some reason. The Sickle now doesn't have 6 magazines, it only has 3, which does actually hurt it quite a bit. The Sickle was already, by a lot of people's opinion, one of the best weapons in the game. I think it still will be. You just have to be more careful with it, and it will be worse against hordes of enemies now. So it's going to be even worse on bug missions than it was before. It was already decent on bug missions, but I know not everybody liked it because of that slow startup. Now you're not going to have as much sustained fire for it. I think it's still going to be really strong on bot missions, where you don't always need that since the bots tend to keep their distance most of the time, so long as you don't have berserkers running at you. So the Sickle will still be really good there. But I do think something like the Adjudicator will be a much better assault rifle if you want to run that for bug missions, or just the Liberators will be a much better assault rifle than the sickle now. So that's kind of interesting. The scythe got changed as well, where it has now 50 more damage, which is pretty good. It does kill small bugs really fast now, that's good. But it did decrease its total magazines from 6 to 4. I rarely use the scythe, so the scythe is not one of my favorite weapons. I don't really like the laser pointer style weapons. They're just not for me. It did feel a bit better to be using this, and it's still probably going to be pretty good on bug missions, especially low-level bug missions where you can just keep cutting them down and you probably won't run out of ammo. On the higher level bug missions, it could still probably be pretty decent. On bot missions, I've never liked this. I've always thought it was really awkward, especially compared to something like the sickle. So I'm not going to be using it on those missions, but it will be a little bit better on them regardless. The railgun also got changed to where now it has slightly more armor penetration on both the safe mode and the unsafe mode, so that's kind of cool. And the stagger slightly got reduced on it. Railgun's already pretty strong. It's been one of the strongest weapons in the game since the game came out. It did get nerfed a while back, and people said it was unusable. It wasn't. It could do everything that it could before. You just had to switch it to the unsafe mode and be a little bit better with the weapon, so that you didn't accidentally cause it to explode and hurt yourself or kill yourself. So this change of the railgun seems perfectly fine. I don't think it's going to change the railgun at all. People who love it are still going to be using it, and people who don't like it aren't going to touch it just because of this. Heavy machine gun got buffed slightly to where now it actually has crosshair in third person. Cool. It's more sway than what I was expecting when I seen it when I was using it. The heavy machine gun is always going to be an awkward weapon in the way that it's used in this game because it has a very slow swing speed between target to target. It does have high damage and it does have long range, which is good. It can also kill certain enemies like chargers particularly fast if you get right up next to them with it. But it has such a small magazine for the type of gun that it is, and it takes forever to reload this thing, as well as you only get the 2 mags to actually reload it with. It's just such an awkward weapon. I consider it probably the worst of the machine guns, since the stalwart you can at least run and gun with, and it works for a pretty good like general purpose weapon, especially on low levels, where you can just mow down all the small bugs or small bots. And I think the MG43 is just the better machine gun overall at everything, because you can mow down basically everything with it that's not a heavy enemy, and it doesn't take very long to reload, even though it does have a stopped reload animation. So it's kind of cool that the heavy machine gun got a buff, but I don't know how much this is actually going to affect it. The Diligence counter sniper is also buffed, so now it actually swings faster, which did feel actually pretty good. I did try this one out quite a bit. The damage was also increased from 128 to 140. This does make some difference, I noticed, where you can kill certain medium bugs a little bit quicker. Small bugs you're going to kill about at the same speed, and big bugs and big bots are about the same as well. Medium bots this one already felt really good on, so seeing a nice little damage buff for the counter sniper is pretty good. Maybe we'll see it more often. Then we have the regular Diligence rifle, which also got buffed. This one also got a slight damage buff to where it went from 112 to 125. This probably won't change any of its damage thresholds because that's about the same as the counter sniper, so it should feel about the same as the old counter sniper, which was already decent on most missions. The Diligence was already quite good on like bot missions. Both these rifles are okay on bug missions. They're just not as good because enemies can swarm you a little bit easier. So having like a semi-auto rifle at range is still nice, but once things are getting close to you is not always the best. And on bot missions, these were pretty good because you're almost never getting swarmed at close range. You're almost always fighting at medium or long range, so buffs to them make them better on the bot missions, which is pretty cool. The Redeemer got nerfed slightly to where it now has a slightly increased amount of recoil. That's fine. The Redeemer didn't have very much recoil for a submachine gun that had that high rate of fire, so I don't really find this to be a problem. The Redeemer's still probably going to be the best secondary in the game overall, because it's basically a primary that you can put in your secondary slot. The other secondaries got buffed too, besides the grenade pistol, which I think is in a fine spot. So the Peacemaker, which is the pistol, got buffed to where now it doesn't do 60 damage on hit, it does 75 damage. That's really cool. That makes it so the pistol does more damage than the submachine gun, which, I mean, before you could just argue, why not just set your submachine gun to semi-auto if you wanted a pistol like that? You have a larger magazine and you have, I think, about the same amount of bullets, or maybe you had slightly less bullets than the pistol. So that was kind of just a better option for this, but this will make the pistol feel a little bit different, a little bit better. I was using this a little bit. It's good against the small bugs, and it's okay against the medium bugs. It's pretty good against the small bots, and I guess you could probably get it to work on the medium bots. I didn't really use it that much against them. So it's kind of cool that the pistol got a little bit more of a buff. I think it should get like an ammo buff overall, though, since it's such like a middle-of-the-road weapon. The Senator also got buffed, so the revolver got 25 more points of damage, so it went from 150 to 175. That does feel pretty good. And now there is a speed loader for this, too, in the reload animation. You have to be fully empty in order to use the speed loader. So you can still reload this the same way you did before, where you can reload this one round at a time unless you're fully empty, but that makes it so you can top this off whenever you'd like. So the Senator will still be pretty ammo efficient. It'll be similar to like the Punisher, and the Speed Loader does make this feel way better, since once you do shoot out all those 6 shots, you do reload it much faster. So the Senator change is really nice. I'm going to be using this a whole lot more, which is awesome, because I already liked the gun before, but it was really awkward to use, especially if you needed to reload it while you're running away. It wasn't as fast as a lot of the other secondaries like the submachine gun, where you could feasibly run just a little bit away, get your whole magazine in, and just mag dump this into whatever's chasing you, and you'll probably kill it. Senator, you kind of had to run and usually suffer a couple hits while you're trying to reload this to kill whatever was behind you. The Las Dagger also got buffed, so this is the laser pistol. This one now does more damage. It went from 150 to 200. That's pretty good. I still think that this one's probably the worst secondary in the game just because of how it works. I don't like the laser pointer weapons, like I said earlier. This is really no exception to it. It does have infinite ammo, so if you want to use it to kill small bugs and small bots, it's pretty good. On anything bigger than that, I find it just really awkward compared to the other secondary, so I still am not going to be taking this one that often. The Liberator got buffed, so the starting assault rifle has 5 more points of damage. It went from 55 damage to 60 damage. Cool. It's the same as the submachine gun now, which is pretty good, and it's the same as the old pistol was. I don't know why it didn't already have that amount of damage, but the Liberator's a decent rifle, and since you get it right away, this is just going to feel better for killing bigger things and medium things. The Liberator is already pretty good at killing small stuff, and it's still going to be good at that. It's still going to be good at killing medium enemies. The Concussive Liberator also got buffed, so it went from 55 damage to 65 damage, so it actually got a 10-point buff, which is pretty good. The Concussive, I still think is going to be one of the worst primary weapons. Maybe not the worst primary weapon, but one of the worst ones. It can be really good in a team setting where you specifically want to keep stunning something or stun locking something. It's just most of the time in public lobbies or even in friends groups, that isn't really a huge concern. You can do that with other weapons, or you can just flat out kill something, and with the slow rate of fire of the Concussive, it just feels really awkward. It's kind of cool that it got a buff, but I still probably won't be using this weapon that much. Dominator got nerfed slightly, which is okay because it got buffed in the last patch, where it went from 200 damage up to 300, now it's going from 300 to 275. So a slight nerf in damage. Dominator still felt quite strong when I was using it. It's still going to be a solid option on bug missions. It's still going to be a really good option on bot missions. So I think that one's perfectly fine. The Guard Dog got nerfed. I don't know why. This just decreases its damage by 30%. Okay, I didn't think the guard dogs were very strong to begin with, but maybe I'm in the minority there. I don't think they needed to be nerfed. I figure like they should be buffed, especially in targeting, because half the time the guard dogs just point at a friendly and shoot them to death. And then we also have the new stratagem that got added into this, which is the Air Burster Rocket Launcher. This was added for some bot missions earlier, and it was a super fun weapon. This is like an RPG that shoots out a bunch of missiles once it actually detonates. It's really strong against small enemies, especially densely packed small groups of enemies. It can also be really strong against all the medium enemies too, both bugs and bots. It doesn't really do anything against the heavy enemies. This will be more for crowd clear. So if you want to take this with something that's good for dealing with big enemies, it can work really well. This one's also probably still the best weapon for getting all the team killed too, with a single weapon stratagem like this. This thing is a friendly fire machine. It no longer targets other Helldivers though, or turrets now, which is good. I didn't realize that that's the reason why it was exploding before. This is still going to be kind of awkward, and it's going to take a lot of time to get used to, and there's still probably going to be a lot of team killing incidents with this weapon just because of how the weapon works, but I'm really glad that the Airburst rocket launcher is in the game because it is very, very fun. We also had some other stratagem changes where we had the machine gun sentry get more health. Cool, that's nice. It has the same health as all the other sentries now. The Tesla tower also got buffed to where it now has 33% more health. That's pretty good because sometimes you could just have the big bugs or big bots run right into it and then just destroy it in a couple seconds. So that'll be nice. Tesla tower still is probably going to cause a bunch of friendly fire, so it's still probably not going to be one of the best stratagems to run. Can be really good on like the defend the area missions though. The spear also got changed a little bit. I didn't actually test this one out. The spear is very awkward to use because sometimes it feels amazing and it can do a lot of damage, and other times it feels like it does absolutely nothing and misses every shot. I don't take it very often, but it is kind of cool that the spear is getting changed slightly, although it's not in its targeting and it's not the way that it functions. It's just in an animation, so okay, cool, I guess. Aside from that, the only other like major change to this patch is that enemy patrols will now be less if there's fewer players playing. So that can be kind of cool because before you could get swarmed and then swarmed and then swarmed and then swarmed, especially if you're playing on the very high difficulties of Helldivers. And that was kind of rough if you were playing solo or if you're playing in duos. This should make it a little bit better. In like 4-man groups, it's going to feel the same, so that's fine. There was some other minor changes, like enemies getting changed a little bit, where it's like the spewers can't move as fast, which is cool. Hulks now don't do as much damage with the flamethrowers, which is cool. Now, one of the major ones is like Striders being less vulnerable to explosives. I don't know how much that's going to affect it. I don't know if certain weapons are still going to be able to one-shot them, because I didn't really see a whole lot of Striders when I was playing. So we'll have to see about that, see if the Scorcher can still take them down really fast, or the Dominator can, or the like the anti-material rifle. I guess any medium armor pen weapons will do the same, because it didn't really change that. They're just less vulnerable to explosions. And then there was a bunch of different bug fixes, which is awesome. It's cool that we're getting more fixes in Helldivers. Out of these ones, I think the weapons that are going to be changed the most, or that we're going to see the most often in the coming weeks or so, while people test them out and people kind of get changed, I think the Adjudicator is going to get a lot more love. I already thought it was a good weapon before, but it's going to be even better now, so that's really cool. We are maybe going to see even the plasma shotgun be used less, which I don't know why that one got nerfed. I don't know why the crossbow got nerfed, because I never see that weapon being used either. So we'll see about that. Maybe the arc blitzer will get used a little bit more. That's pretty cool. I'm suspecting that people are going to complain about the sickle nerf, but then people that are used to using the sickle probably won't care, because they've already gotten the timing down to where they know how far they can shoot it before they need to stop and wait for it to cool down. This will only kind of hurt the players that aren't as good as that, or don't use it as frequently. Maybe we'll hear some more complaints about the railgun getting nerfed slightly. I don't know. I think the DMRs getting buffed is pretty cool. That one's pretty nice. And then both the pistol and the revolver getting buffed, I think, are really nice additions to this. As well as you'll probably see the Quasar Cannon maybe a little bit less, because it got nerfed technically, but I still think it's one of the best explosive weapons for taking out big targets. So I feel like players that use it a lot will still use it a lot. So tell me your thoughts on this patch and the different weapons that got changed. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.